start. Looks like we have a loaded house tonight. I'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening. I know it's a bit late, everyone's been tired, so I will talk loud so everyone gets forced to stay awake. Alright, so the name of my talk is called Wordplay, the Punder appreciated art form. My name is George, by the way. I live over at Corpus. So, you might be wondering, what is a pun? You may have heard the word before, maybe even heard a pun before and not even know what it is. Well, it's pretty simple. A pun is just a funny way of using a word that gives it a second meaning. For example, oh, these jokes about ducks have me really quacking up. I was hoping, seeing that it's like basically midnight, you guys would be a bit easier to make laugh. Rough crowd tonight. So here's just a brief history of punning, or if you'd rather, how long have we been throwing punches for? So, archaeologists and historians have managed to translate puns in languages including ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, ancient Assyrian cuneiform, and even Mayan hieroglyphics. See, that shows that puns transcends time and space, really. But in those older languages, usually they're used as more form of convenience rather than humor. So here's some notable pundits in history. Probably the most notorious writer of puns is none other than William Shakespeare. In one of his most famous lines at the beginning of Richard III, he writes, "Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious by this son of York." Son of York or son of York? Pick your meaning for it. Less humorous, more of a double meaning. But my favorite by him is in Romeo and Juliet, Act 3, Scene 1, when Mercutio receives a fatal wound. He says, "Ask for me tomorrow, and you shall find a grave man." Very funny. Well, Shakespeare did love a good play on words. Here's another one who really enjoyed making a good pun sometimes. Jesus. What? Yeah, I know, right? In the book of Matthew 16:18, he says, "And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church." Doesn't sound like too much in English, but when translated into Jesus' native tongue of Aramaic, Peter translates to Kephas, and Kephas means rock. Just another way of giving that word a double meaning. Truly, the pun of God. And there are different types of puns. Not all puns are created equal. For example, there are homophonic puns, which are, they use words that sound alike. For example, atheism is a non-profit organization. And there's also homographics puns. And those use words that are spelled the same, but have different meanings. For example, I would come up here and tell jokes about chemistry, but I don't think I'd get too much of a reaction. And there's also visual puns, puns that rely on some sort of visual cue to make them funny or interesting. For example,
wow.
Or, am I blocking the projector?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, my apologies. So you might be wondering, how do you deliver a pun? Well, there's different ways to do it. You could, of course, just tell it as a joke. A pre-rehearsed line like all of these are. I have this all memorized, don't worry. So there's nothing wrong with just throwing it in as a joke. But what I like to do, I like to drop puns on the spot, which means, like, if I'm in a conversation and someone says a word that I could twist to mean something else, usually funny, hopefully, I will do it. It's a good thing to find words that are easy to work with. And if you think it's a good one, go with it, be confident. Just a little anecdote to go with that. It was about 2 years ago in my history class. I go to a school with a very strict dress code, including all the way down to your socks. Your socks need to be black or white. They cannot be any other color. So a girl walks in with black and white striped socks, and the teacher says, "Excuse me, are those dress code?" And I say, "I think it's a bit of a gray area, isn't it?" Very important section, what not to do when making puns. By the way, all of these, I break them, all of them, all the time. Do not force a pun. If you're making jokes about food, do not make a joke about the current US presidential election. That's enough of a joke as is, don't worry. Do not try to explain a joke like I'm doing right now, because that removes any sort of funniness from the joke. It kills it. And I cannot stress this enough, do not overuse puns. It gets annoying really quickly. anyone who has a conversation with me at least once a day can attest to that. I use them way too much. Now for a quick conclusion, puns are just a fun way to throw a little humor into daily conversation. Nothing wrong with using them as long as you use them well and use them sparingly. And I'll leave you with, a pun is the lowest form of humor when you don't think of it first. I hope you have a punderful night and a punderful tomorrow. Thank you.